It was a bright spring day, and the hallways of our high school buzzed with the energy only teenagers can muster. The sun streamed through the classroom windows, dust motes floating in the air. But in the midst of all that, a brewing storm of mischief was about to unfold. My English class was scheduled during the 3-period lunch. A strange setup. 25 minutes of class, a lunch break, and then another 25 minutes of instruction. On this particular day, every student had their water pistols in hand. Some were already making small squirt gun skirmishes in the hallway. It was playful, but for me, it quickly turned into a trap. As I walked into the classroom, the male teacher sat at his desk, grading papers. I barely had time to greet him when squirt, 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 4 classmates aimed directly at me. Cold water slammed into my face and soaked my shirt. Shock, disbelief, and humiliation struck all at once. My heart raced, chest tightening, mind scrambling for a response. And the teacher, he looked up briefly, perhaps even noticed, and then returned to grading as if nothing had happened. Ignored, completely invisible. The betrayal cut deeper than the icy water. My thoughts began to churn. They think I'm powerless. They think I'll just take this. They think I won't fight back. They're wrong. I left class with a storm in my chest. Every step down the hallway felt like plotting. I wasn't just angry. I was simmering with a need for justice. This wasn't about revenge for revenge's sake, was about restoring balance, about showing that disrespect has consequences. Lunchtime arrived. The other students streamed out, laughing and chatting, likely boasting about their successful ambush. I lingered in the classroom. 2 minutes later, the room was empty, still and quiet. It was the perfect moment. I studied the teacher's chair, an old wooden relic with deep scallops in the seat. Every groove, every curve became part of my plan. A mischievous grin spread across my face. This was going to be precise, elegant, perfect. I opened my water pistol, pouring the entire refill into the left scallop of the chair. Every drop felt like preparation, anticipation, building. I slipped out, refilled the pistol, returned and poured into the right scallop. The setup was flawless. Every detail counted. The stage was set for the ultimate payback. Class was about to resume. My mind raced with possible outcomes. I intercepted the teacher, walking alongside him toward the classroom. The 4 pranksters were already planning their next attack, unaware that their own actions had set the stage for poetic justice. Squeak, squeak, the familiar sound of water triggers punctuated the air as they squirted at me once again. I remained stoic, letting the water soak through my shirt, letting them believe they were still in control. But I was calm, patient. Every step brought us closer to the climax of the plan. I could feel the tension in the air, the mixture of anticipation, confusion, and impending disaster for the pranksters. The teacher, oblivious to the brewing storm beneath him, sat down in his chair. And then, the moment of truth approached. The anticipation was almost unbearable. The chair, saturated with water, waited silently for the perfect timing. The classroom felt unusually still in that split second before everything happened. The four pranksters, still gripping their water guns, exchanged smug glances, confident that they had once again gotten the upper hand. My shirt was soaked, droplets rolling down my sleeves and dripping onto the floor. But unlike earlier, I wasn't ruffled. I wasn't flustered. I was composed, almost serene, because I knew what was coming. The teacher lowered himself into that old wooden chair with the same tired sigh he had always given after lunch. The moment his weight met the seat, the universe seemed to pause, holding its breath. And then SPLSHHH. The sound wasn't loud, but it was distinct, sharp, wet, unexpected, a sound that didn't belong in a silent classroom. The teacher's eyes flew open so wide it looked like they were about to leap out of his face. His mouth formed an awkward ooh, the kind of expression someone makes when they read too shocked to speak but too horrified to stay silent. Every muscle in his face tightened at once. It was as if his entire body realized the betrayal of that chair in slow motion. He jerked upward, pushing himself off the seat with both hands, nearly knocking the desk forward. Water dripped from the bottom of his slacks, leaving dark splattered spots on the floor. For a moment, everything was still. You could hear the overhead fan humming. One of the fluorescent lights buzzed. My heart thudded not out of fear, but out of satisfaction, anticipation, justice unfolding right in front of me. Then it came the reaction that would stick with me for 50 years. What? Who? His voice cracked like someone had stepped on an old wooden plank. The same boys who had soaked me twice that day, you faroot. Now, his voice thundered through the classroom like a whip cracking through the air. He didn't ask questions. He didn't investigate. He didn't wonder whether the water came from a prank gone wrong or a personal attack. He simply did the math. Water guns plus 4 troublemakers giggling plus teacher now soaked equals perfect assumption. He marched toward them with the determination of someone who had finally reached the end of their patience. His wet shoes slapped the floor sharply with every step. The water dripping down his pant leg left a trail behind him, a literal path of outrage. "You think this is funny?" he barked. The boys shook their heads rapidly, panic replacing giggles. One even tried to hide his water pistol behind his back, as if it would magically disappear. I stood there, dripping wet, but for once, it didn't matter. The tables had turned so elegantly, so poetically, that every drop felt worth it. The four pranksters had been hauled off to the principal's office, their bravado completely dismantled. Inside the classroom, I finally allowed myself to exhale. My shirt clung to me, water dripping steadily onto the floor. The initial humiliation of being ambushed, the cold shock, and the laughter of my peers it all melted away, replaced by a profound satisfaction. Not anger, not revenge in the destructive sense, just balance restored. I glanced at the teacher. His eyes, now wide with lingering shock, met mine for a fleeting moment, and in that instant there was an unspoken understanding. Justice had been delivered. Not cruelly, not violently, but precisely. The satisfaction wasn't just mine, it was something the universe had orchestrated, a small but perfect correction to the wrongs done that day. Why does this story resonate, even decades later? Because it taps into a universal human truth: the need for fairness. Everyone has experienced moments of powerlessness, humiliation, or betrayal. Feeling ignored by authority or underestimated by peers awakens a longing for justice deep inside us. My revenge wasn't random or malicious, was proportionate. Every action was intentional, every step carefully planned. The beauty of it wasn't in causing harm, but in creating a poetic, almost theatrical sense of accountability. Watching the four pranksters' expressions shift from smug confidence to panic-stricken disbelief, and seeing the teacher finally recognize the chain of events was deeply satisfying. It's a reminder that cleverness, patience, and timing often matter more than brute strength or aggression. True satisfaction comes when justice is executed with precision, turning humiliation into triumph without overstepping the bounds of morality. 50 years later, the memory remains vivid. I can still see the teacher's shocked expression, hear the squeak of the water triggers, and feel the cold, wet weight of that day. That image has stayed with me not because of pride, not because of malice, but because it represents something deeply human, the triumph of cleverness and patience over cruelty and disrespect. And perhaps most importantly, it teaches a lesson that transcends a simple prank. Life will inevitably throw moments of injustice, humiliation, or betrayal at us. How we respond, whether with measured precision, strategy, and ethical consideration, defines the character we carry forward. Revenge isn't about making someone suffer, it's about restoring balance. It's about ensuring that those who underestimate, disrespect, or humiliate others understand the consequences of their actions. When executed thoughtfully, revenge can be both satisfying and morally justifiable. That day, in a sunlit classroom with water dripping from every surface, I experienced that balance. The four pranksters learned a lesson. The teacher learned a lesson. And I, drenched but triumphant, learned something timeless. Justice can be precise, poetic, and unforgettable. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed or pulled off yourself? Comment below and share your story. We want to hear it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Here we celebrate creativity, cleverness, and the perfect execution of justice. Until next time, remember, the best revenge isn't messy or cruel, it's precise, poetic, and unforgettable.